Thanks, everybody. I'm going to do a few things real quick before I get started. I work off of a MacBook, but pretty similar to any laptop, meaning I like to have two unique screens open so that I can swipe back and forth. Because that's a little clunky on this, I'm going to take and I'm going to just make a tab. What I like to do, and I'm going to show you guys all the way from the beginning to the end, but I'm just getting myself set up here. I like to have the subject open if it's ever been listed before. So that I can pull that data for square footage, so I can look at it and compare photos, all those great things. So I'm gonna go ahead, and Lucy gave us a real world example of a property to comp. Now, one of the things that I don't love about this is that I already see the end result list price that she chose. So whatever we result in, please know that I'm not here to criticize or question or condemn other agents in our brokerage for the way they price. Pricing is a strategy. It is a marketing tool. A value of a home is determined by what a buyer is willing to pay, a seller is willing to accept, and an appraiser will verify. So oftentimes people will price high because it is maybe their opinion that you can always start high and come down low. Sometimes people will price very low because they want to have all that action and activity driving the price up. So again, I'm going to use the example that she gave us to tell you what I would be going in to tell my seller what I think it would be best to list for, as well as what I think we're likely to get for it. So I wanted to give that little disclaimer first before I did it. So 156-2188. Plugging in the MLS for this listing that, again, is currently pending. So please, please, please understand I would have been going into this blind. Also, one of the things about Ignite that I think is a challenge for everyone is that we've got on there win the listing first, and then we've got price the listing. I am firmly of the mind that your pricing strategy and recommendations are part of what should win you the listing. So when if you haven't done this, a really good CMA where there's a lot of really clear data and a clear understanding of what they should be able to anticipate, then I feel like you're going in. Sorry, it's loud. I'm changing my seat here so I can sit down and my hair might quit bouncing around. All right, sorry about that, guys. So I'm of the mind that you need to have a good idea of your pricing strategy before you get to that listing appointment, because that's going to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, conversation at a listing appointment. Does everybody agree, or does anybody disagree? Awesome. So this is the challenge when anytime we try to teach something in a line, sometimes things don't go in a line. So real quick, what I want to do before I get started, actually going through the steps, just to get an idea of everybody, because I don't know everybody on the call. Let me go ahead and check out everybody's screen here. Let's see here. Hostage negotiator, and if you've got someone who's non-responsive, sometimes you can elicit a response with an email. Subject line: have you given up on blank? Have you given up on your home move? Have you given up on moving? And then on the inside, just very short, would love to hear back from you on your plans, and see what happens.
Thank you. Yeah,
no problem.
I like that.
All right, let's see here. I think I've got one more person, and then we're gonna get back to this. Taylor, unmute you.
There we go. Okay.
All right.
Hi. I'm in my first month still. I'm a part of the Bella Demora team, and I got sent a good amount of leads. So I'm focusing on lead generation this week. And one of my goals is to build rapport with as many people as I can. Mm-hmm. At Victory would absolutely be getting an appointment. So that's what I'm going for.
We would love to hear that you got an appointment this week. Oh, we got one last one, and great work. Adam. Adam.
Hello.
What was your greatest challenge this week, your greatest victory this week, and what has to happen this week for this week to be a win?
Oh gosh, I'm on the spot. I can't even remember what you asked me.
What's been your greatest challenge of the last week?
Okay. I don't think of things as challenges, so I can't answer that one. And my greatest victory was, I don't know, I've got 2 closings on Friday. That's part of this week.
All right.
So that would be 2 victories. And what's the last one?
What has to happen this week so you can say you won the week?
Not have a car accident. I had a car accident last week.
All right. That's
Not really real estate. It's not really real estate related.
Well, I use my car to get to and from appointments.
So yeah.
And I would call that a challenge last week.
Yeah. See, I don't think of it as a challenge. I think of it as just a car accident. But
Fair enough.
I think everything's an opportunity.
There you go. All right. Good deal.
I may sell a house to that guy who hit me now.
I think you should. Either sell my house or sue him, one or the other.
There you go. Exactly. So.
All right. We got one more and then we're going to get right back to the CMA, guys. I wanted to make sure everybody's juices are flowing. I have an idea who I'm talking to. So we got Sonia. I'm going to unmute you. Well, it won't let me unmute you, Sonia. All right. Well, if you can unmute yourself and you're able to tell us your challenge victory and what has to happen, that would be awesome. Otherwise, I'm going to get back to it. So, all right, everybody. So, and can you all hear me clearly or am I echoing real bad? Good? Okay, perfect. So when I'm doing a CMA, and I love participation. So I feed off of the energy you guys give me. So if you have questions, you have comments, you want to chime in, there's something that doesn't make sense, I'm talking too fast, please unmute yourself and please engage because again, I need your energy to keep rolling. So when I do a CMA, I am doing it for many reasons. First and foremost, I assume that every single listing appointment that I go on, including those with family and friends, that I am in a competitive head-to-head. Now, if I've been smart about my strategy, I have already asked up front. And I've asked if when I show up, is there any reason that they won't be ready to get to work right away if they're impressed with what I have to say? And I tell them that I am already going to be doing legwork and homework. I will have already contacted and interacted with people inside my office who have some of the best talent in the city about their property. So I'm getting them excited about the legwork that I'm doing before I ever get there. So when I get there, if I'm in a head-to-head, I will ask them to promise me. First thing I'll say is, if you are super impressed with me, is there any reason why you wouldn't cancel your other appointments and sign with me right then and there? Because I'll be ready to get to work for you. If they say, well, I really want to talk to a few people before I make a decision, I just don't want to rush into anything, I'll push back one more time and I'll say, I just want you to make sure you promise one more time that no matter how much I impress you, you wouldn't sign on that line with me till someone else gets in there and you see what else there is, right? Yes. Okay. Then what I'd like to do is I'd like to schedule to go last after everybody else. Since you promised you won't sign with anybody else before me, I would love so that you have an opportunity to hear what everyone else says and does, so that when we talk, we can have a good conversation about the pros and cons of what we have to offer. Does that sound fair? And if it's a yes, we're good with that, then great. I assume now that someone else is going to bring a CMA. I also assume that their CMA, and I'm going to sound rude here, and everybody does things differently. I firmly believe that a CMA where you've gone in and you've done manual adjustments to the value is of much, much, much greater value than an automated CMA or an RPR or all these different automation tools. If you're going to use something automated, might as well go to the Zestimate. And we know that that's not valuable, and we know that's what sets us apart. So my goal is that when I show up with my CMA that's going to be about that thick, and we're looking and comparing against something that someone else did that's about that thick, they're going to look and say, wow, this guy's really put the work into the detail. So in addition to a CMA telling us what the recommended price range is, can anybody else, and I'm going to, please unmute yourself. Can anybody else tell me some other things that a good CMA can tell us about the listing or the property or the area? Anybody? All right. So in addition to price and value and a value range, A good CMA is also going to tell you the average days on market. Can anybody tell me, I got to get some participation, either people participate or I'm going to start calling on people. Can anybody tell me what days on market have to do with our listing appointment and how that can help us or hurt us?
If you can sell a listing, if your listings last less days on market than the average days on market, that's good. That's a good selling point for you.
There you go. So you're saying from my previous listings?
Or from the average listing in Louisville.
Right.
If the average listing spends, I don't know, 35 days on market, and you sell your listings in 15, that's a good selling point for you.
So when I do it, so a CMA isn't necessarily going to talk about my stats, although I do think that you bring up a good point in having your stats handy, running a CMA for your listings over the last 6 months, year, whatever the data is, and obviously you can control the data set. But I'm talking more about the specific data from the property. Tell me a little bit about, if you're looking at the neighborhood or homes that are similar to it, days on market, how can that help us or hurt us?
I think it sets an expectation for the customer about, just how long houses in their neighborhood are on the market, they're selling. And I think sometimes they don't realize how quickly homes are selling or how not quickly homes are selling, because they think, oh, I just drove past that house a week ago, I think, and it's already pending. Well, it may have been more like 3 or 4 weeks, and they just didn't realize it.
Perfect. That is exactly what I was looking for. Right now, the market is still super, super hot. It's still a seller's market. Depending on where you are, that's not always going to be the case. And even if it is a super hot seller's market, there are pockets in and around Louisville that sometimes they take a little longer. So if everything everybody's hearing is, well, my brother, he sold his house in 24 hours, he had 5 offers. Well, your brother's house might not be right next door to you. So that may not be relevant to what we're doing, because real estate is highly localized. So being able to say, yes, the market's hot, and I want you to know that for your area, for the home similar to yours, the average days on market before someone gets a contract are 36 days. So what that means is, I want to sell your home before that. I want to get it done tomorrow, and I want you to be prepared and realistic if the data tells us that, hey, that's not what necessarily happens here. Doesn't mean we're doing a bad job or you have a bad home, just means maybe the demand isn't a 24-hour house for this area. So, and do you see how, and if you're newer to this, you're going to be in for the awakening. If you're a seasoned vet, you're a pro, then you definitely know what we're talking about. Having expectation conversations up front, so much easier than every Monday reselling yourself on the listing. That is exhausting. If you have good conversations up front, you don't have to resell yourself every week, every day, because they know what to expect. So let's see here. I'm going to move this in here. So in order to do your CMA, does anybody have any questions about that stuff? Okay. So I'm going to go over here. The property that was given to me to use today was Washington Avenue. Please ignore this price. And I'm going to simply do a CMA as if that price weren't there, but I am going to use the old data to help determine about the home. Now, if you don't have an old listing to pull from, and so you don't know about the condition of the home, you don't know about the way that it looks, you don't know about the yard, what are some things you can do so that you have the information you need to do a CMA before you get there?
Just ask them to send pictures of all of the main rooms and ask them what updates they've done since they bought it. Absolutely.
I like to say, please send me the photos of all the rooms, and then I would like you to make sure you send me some photos of areas of extreme pride, the things that make you really happy about your home, as well as the areas of most concern for you. So people will hope that no one notices that there is a gaping hole in the ceiling in the basement, or that the furnace is, doing some sort of weird thing or is rusted, about to fall over. When you ask them to send you photos of the areas of concern, this gives you a little bit of a heads up of what you could be walking into. So, and you may have people say, well, our house isn't show ready. Be prepared. My script is, I'm not looking for your house to be show ready. My house isn't show ready. And I even have some photos on my phone of my home not perfectly put together. And I will send it to them and say, hey, mine's not clean right now either. Look at this messy bed or whatever. Do what you can so that you humanize and you relate, as well as get them to give you what you need. So we've got some lovely photos here to help with. So to do your CMA, you're going to go to Menu, CMA. You're going to go down to New. And a little bit later on today, or maybe later in the week, I'm going to send you guys a sheet that has a list of adjustments that I make and some formulas that I use. So today, don't expect to be an expert if you're new to this. Don't expect that you're going to be able to walk out and do it exactly the way that I do it. I will give you some guidance, and I'm always on standby if you guys need help or have questions. So going here, next, click my name. I'm going to say that it is for The Simpsons. All right. Now, right here, if there's some comments that I think are important to know about the CMA, challenges I had, things that I noticed, limitations that I had, etc. This might be where I put the comments in. It's going to be the cover page. Right now, because I haven't done the CMA yet, I don't really know what comments I have, so it's something I may come back to if there's a story that I want to tell in my report. So I'm going to go to next. I'm going to auto-populate fields from existing listing. Now, the challenge on this is, as you all know, most agents are lazy and or uneducated and or untrained. It is my opinion. No one on this call, you guys are learning based, you're here, you're excited, but a lot of our competition, they just don't know how to measure and they don't understand the value of having things. So understand the data we're going to pull over could be from a previous listing. They may have used PVA for square footage. So this is all to get us to the table to have a conversation. And then of course, you're going to either measure yourself or hire someone to have the property measured so you know the numbers are accurate. But this allows us to have our initial conversation. So I'm auto-populating field from existing listing. That existing listing was 1562188. And voila, half the work's done for us. It's got our square footage. It's got all of our bedroom, bathroom count, etc.
Shane,
Do what?
my listing's from 1972 and isn't in here.
That's no
So
problem. You go to PVA to get a picture from the outside. And then you're going to go to right here where it says upload photo.
Yep,
Once you save the picture from PVA or you drove by with your phone, whatever,
right.
you'll upload it here. And then you're going to have to manually input all the fields here. So square footage, bedroom, bathroom, half bath, garage, etc.
Okay.
So it will still geocode once you have the address in. And so it'll pop it up and make sure that it is the right area, the right listing, the right location. Be careful you pay attention to that, because I've had people have listings geocoded somewhere totally different. And then when I went to go do a CMA, it was pulling up comps 5 miles away. So it wasn't accurate. So always pay good attention to that. So I'm gonna go to next here. Now, for me, I like to start about 0.4 miles out, and I try to do a radius search. You may end up moving that space in. You may end up going further out. The more rural the area is and the less densely populated, the further out you may have to go. Now, if you're in a subdivision like a Dominion Homes or a Pulte Homes or something like that, where they build 400 homes of the same type in the same subdivision, this should be much easier for you, and you shouldn't have to go a half a mile. It all depends on where the data is. I'll say this, and I tell my sellers this, and I tell the agents on my team this. If you're in a neighborhood and there's 5 comps and they're all very, very similar, but they don't help the narrative that you want, it doesn't help the price that you want, it does not make sense to go to the next neighborhood over or 3 neighborhoods over, because that gives you a house that helps the number you want, because appraisers are not going to hop, skip, and jump around to help you. They're going to go for what is nearby. Now, if what is nearby is not relevant, then yes, go a little further. If you're in an area where there's a major road that runs down it, and on this side of the road there are one style of houses, and on this side they're very different, try to stay on that one side of the road, even if they're in less than a half-mile radius. Frankfurt Avenue. If I'm on Frankfurt Avenue, I try to stick on one side or the other when I'm comping, because sometimes there's a difference in the style and quality of the home. That's just an example. So for right now, I'm going to use 0.4 miles. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to edit search. Now, I'm going to take status change date out because I don't really care if the status changed. I just want to know what was going on in a certain time period. So I'm going to look at my active under contract, my closed, my expired, and I'm going to leave it there. Sometimes I'll include canceled. I'm going to do pending, sold, expired. For now, I'm going to do 1 year's worth. Now, if I've got a ton of data, once I start going in and I'm putting in some more parameters to tighten this up and make it more alike to the house that I'm using to comp, then I may go in and make this a 6-month range because the more recent, the more accurate, and the more relevant it is. Does anybody have any questions so far on what I'm doing? So on the CMA value, the value will only be used, calculated from homes that have closed. So why would I include active, active under contract, or expired in my data or in my listing presentation with my CMA?
To give them an idea of their competition.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Competition. Also, what about expired? Why would I want expired in there?
So
What
you can
happened?
show if it expired because it was priced too high, you can show them, well, this is what's going to happen if we price our home too high.
Absolutely. We can teach on faith or fear. And sometimes fear is a little bit more, they feel it better. So that is exactly what I'm going to do that. And I want to show them as far as pending goes, I will say, I don't know that price. Oftentimes, if I have some that are pending or active under contract, I like to reach out to that agent and try to feel them out. And I tell them for a couple of reasons. And this is what I'm going to tell my sellers in my listing appointment. I went ahead and did some research and some homework. I reached out to the other agents in the area that have some properties pending. I reached out to tell them a couple things. One, I have a listing that's coming on in case they have any buyers that weren't able to get the listing they just sold. They're really excited about it, and they're looking forward to hearing back from me. So now I've shown up to my listing appointment. I've already reached out to other agents. I've already started a network, and I already have a buyer pool that I'm starting to drip from. So this CMA is far less about just numbers and adjustments to me as it is an opportunity for a real good conversation about how we're going to get their house sold. So, all right, moving on. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to do my square footage. Let me look at this house again. I want to use homes that are similar. This house is it says the 1.5 story. So we got a first floor master bedroom. And I am a big believer, if I have the data, I'm going to use other homes that are first floor master bedrooms. The reason for that is my grandparents, who are in their 80s and 70s, will never buy a home with a second floor master bedroom. The demographic is different. Some people have to have a first floor. If I have enough data, I want everything to be similar to this house. It is only when I don't have any data that I have to start getting creative and saying, okay, a first or second floor master. For now, I'm going to go back and I'm going to say I only want a first floor master bedroom. There is no basement on this house. And there's 1,863 square feet. Those are 3 things right there that I can work with to narrow my filter a little bit and find relevant information. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to type in above grade. That one was 1863. I'm going to use, for my purposes, 1,500 square feet to 2,100 square feet, just for now. That knocked us down to 14. I'm going to kick that up to 2,200 and see if that does anything for it. Oh, 22,000. Are we building a Walmart here? 2,200 square feet. All right, so I'm at 15 right now. I'm going to go and I'm going to say master bedroom. First floor, yes. All right, what are we looking at? We're looking at 9 now. All right. I'm going to go and I'm going to say basement because I don't want to comp against houses that have basements when mine does not. I'm going to say no basement. Now what are we looking at? It's thinking. Don't you guys love live technology? I'm going to uncheck it again. 9. Think about it. 6. All right. Now, if you guys look at that picture, we've got a big portion of this going over 264. So I am going to choose to move my radius just a little bit. Edit my shape. I'm going to grab this circle in the middle. I'm going to pull it over to this side of 264. I'm going to come in just a little bit more. Now I'm going to expand out just a little bit. And I'm going to make it so that I've really got a location that I think is relevant to what we're doing. All right, how does everybody feel about that? Does everyone feel like that's a pretty good data set? So we're still at 6. All right, so I'm gonna leave edit shape mode. Jumps in there for me. All right, what else should we look at about this house? So we got 3-car garage, so I guess we got one in the front. I'm gonna jump in just to familiarize myself with the photos. So we got a 2-car at the back and a 1-car attached. That's a pretty cool setup. I like that. Decent sized little flat yard. Are these apartments? Lucy, are these apartments or houses nearby? Apartments?
Apartments.
Okay. All right. I love the kitchen. I love the light fixtures. Nice shower. So nice. Ooh, this is a showstopper. That's really cool.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Beautiful, beautiful. Nice photos. You did great here.
Thank you.
All right. Cute as a button. Who wouldn't want that? Hell, I'll take 2 of them. All right. So I feel it's definitely going to have some unique attributes about it. Now, what do you value this? Because this is going to be one of our challenges. This room is a showstopper. It's a selling point. It adds value. I'm going to guess that when Lucy was comping this house, there were not a lot of rooms like this in her comps. Is that pretty accurate, Lucy?
Accurate.
Okay. All right. So for now, I'm not going to assign a value to this. Me personally, I want to see what the data tells me before I look at this room, as well as that additional garage. This is, to me, a somewhat challenging property to comp because there's not a lot like it, which is usually what people throw at me to do this. When I first glanced at it last night, I thought it was going to be kind of white bread, paint by numbers. Lucy, you got me. You got me again. So let's see. All right. So we're going to go back to our CMA. All right. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to start looking at the comps that pulled up from when we did that. And we got this one here for 253.9, this one here for 284, one for 282, 260 already pending, 222. I don't like that it's just a ranch. I wish we had some more 1.5 story or 2-story properties here. I'm trying to move this. I keep moving the controls for my screen around because I need to be able to work on my whole screen, and then it's all right. This house on Fountain, what is that? Well, I'm going to use it for now, but I don't love it. I think I want to take Sir Lancelot out, and I think I have 4 to work with for right now. I don't like Sir Lancelot. It just looks different from construction. It's a ranch. I think I'm taking it out for now. So for now, I'm going to use these 4 properties. I'm going to return them to the listing. So now the first thing that I'm going to teach you guys, and everybody kind of asks, like, why do we do it that way? When we go in to adjust a property, we cannot just use square footage, the price per square foot, as a total adjustment for the change in square footage. We can't do that because there are things like lot price involved. There are things like maybe the kitchen is what was a super high dollar and the rest of it was drywall, carpet, and paint. So it just becomes a little muddied down to use a 1-to-1 adjustment. So I skip forward to summary. And when I go to summary, it's going to tell me the average above grade square foot finished. You all see that in the bottom right corner, 149.76. So I was taught by an appraiser years ago to take that dollar amount and divide it by 3. And that new amount is what you will use to adjust per square foot. So I'm going to use 150. I'm going to round this up. And that means I'm going to use $50 a square foot for every square footage adjustment. Now, this is where people start getting cross-eyed and getting confused. Who has a question? Who has a problem? Who have I lost? Anybody?
Why divide by 3?
Because this is, well, for one, because it's what an appraiser told me. So, and so they never use a 1-to-1 value. And then the other thing is price per square foot has things like lot cost. Obviously, when you're looking at the size of the home, If they're quarter acre lots, there's not really a change for that. And so the lot price may have been higher when they bought it 4 months ago versus this year. You can't use a one-to-one value. And I've had appraisers say, I don't care, as long as you can use a third, you can use a third times 1.25. They're like, I don't care what you do as long as you're not using one-to-one. So what I know is it works for me. And I've seen other people have other calculations and variations of it. For me, I take the average price per square foot sold for the area or for the homes I'm comping, and I divide by 3. And that's my equation. And ever since I've done that for years and years now, it has worked very well for me. So I'm going to jump in here to our above grade finish. And 1863 minus 1625, that is 238 square feet. Is that right? Yep, 238. So 238 times 50. Let me grab my calculator. Normally I do this on my computer screen. I'm swiping back and forth, but I think I'll give you guys a seizure if I do that. So I am going to go, let's see here. What did I say that was, 238? Times 50. So 11,900, and I like to round to the nearest 500. So I'm gonna round it up to $12,000. So do we think that our house would be worth more or less than the house that sold for $1,625 if ours is 130 or 238 square feet bigger?
Less.
You think our house will sell for less than theirs if ours is bigger?
More, sorry.
All right, so that's a $12,000. I'm gonna put 12,000 and boom. Now, if you look down, well, what happened there? All right, if you look down where it says above grade finish, there's a $12,000 addition there. And if you look where it says right here, 253.9, now we're saying that that house was 265.9. Do we all agree that it's fair and reasonable to say that if that house had had 238 square feet more, it would have fetched closer to 265 as opposed to 253.9? Does anybody disagree? Does that seem like a realistic adjustment? All
Can you
right.
repeat that one more time?
So
I'm not an auditory learner, so say it one more time for me.
you're totally fine. You're totally fine. So this house here was 1,625 square feet. It was 238 square feet smaller than ours. It sold for 253.9. What we just did is we did an adjustment of $12,000 for being smaller. We're trying to make it more like ours. We're imagining it was as big as ours, and we're saying if it had been as big as ours, it would have got another 12 grand, which means it likely would have sold for 265.9. Do you agree that that's reasonable, that if a house was 238 square feet bigger, it should have gotten somewhere around 12 grand more for it because it's got much more space?
No.
What do you think is realistic?
Well, if we're selling, because it depends on what is in that space.
True. We're going to make adjustments for condition. We're going to make adjustments for having bedrooms or bathrooms, but we're also going to do this overall square footage adjustment. If the condition is better or worse, we're going to address that as well. As a whole, if it were, as you go along, if everything were exactly the same, the condition of the home, the finish of the home, the bedroom, bathroom count, it just simply had a little bit more square footage in the living room, a little more square footage in the bedroom, a little more square footage in the kitchen, just all around just a little bit bigger, but everything else was exactly the same. Do you now think it's worth it? Push back. I'm not scared. Push back.
Again, I can't tell you that until I see what you've done with a little bit bigger.
I'm telling you, it's the same house. It is built by Pulte Homes, the exact same designer, same architect, same cabinet, same carpet, same everything, just slightly bigger. More room to move around in your bedroom.
12,000 more. You haven't given me another bathroom. You've just made my bathroom bigger.
I took your tennis shoe size from an 8 to an 11, but it's the same shoe.
It's the same shoe. I still say no. I'd rather have the 4th bedroom versus my 3rd bedroom being bigger.
So what do you think? Do you think there's no value change at all?
No, I don't think there's no value, but I don't know if it's a $12,000 value. It might be a 10 or an 8, but I'm not sure if it's a 12.
You'll know once we do condition stuff.
Right, right. Then I'll know.
So, and this is fine. Everybody learns differently. Everybody looks at things differently. This is the way that I do it, and it may not work for you. I'm a
No,
big
and I'm not saying that it's not going to work for me. I'm just telling you, you said to push back, so I'm pushing back. So
I want it.
again,
I want
don't
it. And when we're all said and done, you might say, well, that was interesting, but I'm never doing it that way. And that won't hurt my feelings a bit. The biggest thing of all is that you know how to explain it to your client. That's
Right.
the most important thing, is that your client understands it. So let's see here. All right. No, going on to the next one, 1829 to 1863. That's 34 square feet. It's probably not going to be a ton, but I'll go ahead and do it. 34 times 50. You got 1,700. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a $1,500 adjustment. So I'm going to say this house is a little bit bigger than the comp. So I'm going to say that had it been more equal to our size, we would have got a $1,500 more. I'm going to do it for the next one as well. And then on this last one, 1,800 to 1863, you got 63 times 50 is going to be like $3,000. 3,150. So we're going to say $3,000 more. All right. Does everybody follow how I did that? All right. So next thing we're going to do is I like to do a bedroom adjustment. The common theme here is everybody has 3 bedrooms except for this 4th one at the bottom, and it has 4 bedrooms. For me, and this is where adjustments get frustrating to people, it's not one size fits all. If we were using a comp that has 2 bedrooms and we were taking it to 3, then I would have a significant adjustment. I would probably be doing something in the range of 10 to 15, because that significantly changes the dynamic of how this house can be used. It has a much higher value. Families are probably going to be likely to shy away on a 2-bedroom house. A 3-bedroom to a 4th bedroom, when almost every comp has 3 bedrooms, not as significant to me. I am going to do a $5,000 bump. And I'm going to take it away because I'm trying to make it more like our house. Our house has 3, that one has 4. I have to take value away because we can't have 4 bedrooms in ours without doing major construction. Does that make sense? And these numbers I use, they're numbers I've learned over the years. Like I said, I'm going to get together a sheet that I can share with everyone with some adjustments. It's challenging to use that like a paint by numbers though, because certain areas of town, maybe there's a greater demand on a garage or what have you. So the best thing to do is to do your CMA, do it to the best of your ability, take a step back and look at it and say, is this reasonable? Does this make sense to me? And more importantly, can I explain the numbers to my client who I need to trust me to sign on the dotted line? So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to bathrooms. All right. All 2 full bathrooms. So I feel good about that. No adjustments there. Half bath. All right, here we go. Half bath. Ours had 0. Those have 1. What do you guys think is a fair adjustment for a half bath? We've all got 2 full baths, so that's good. What about this extra half bath? It's not terribly necessary if we have 2 full, but it's a nice to have.
2,500.
2,500 is probably what I'll use for now. All right. Now we're going to go into parking. This is where things are going to get interesting. Me personally, even though there's a size difference and maybe a functionality increase, I find people make mistakes when they try to compare a 2 to a 2.5 car garage. Sometimes it's erroneously measured. It may be a true 2 or a true 2.5. The functionality doesn't change. So I'm not going to make an adjustment for a 2 to a 2.5. I will, however, make an adjustment from a 2 to a 3 car. And the fact that in ours, we actually have 2 different garages as opposed to 1 3-car garage, which I don't know if there's a way to do that. I believe there's a way to do that differently. And Lucy, you had a hard choice to make. Do I call it a 3-car or do I call it a 2-car and a 1-car? I think you're fine what you did. I think it's a little different than that though. So for me, the value I'm going to give for that extra garage, I'm probably going to give 10 right now. I'm torn between 5 and 10, but I'm probably going to give 10 for right now. It's the only one that has it. So it's not something that they have to sell in the area. It is a nice to have, not a have to have. So Lucy may have put 15. She may have put 10. She may have put 5. Lucy, I'm curious, what did you use for your adjustment on this? Or did you make an adjustment? It's okay if you didn't.
I think I did 5.
Okay. So what we're speculating is that everybody, if every one of those listings had 3-car garage, they would have all sold for about $5,000 more. That's what we're speculating at this point.
How do you, quick question on that. How do you account for the weirdness of the two and then the one separate? Like, I would think there would be some buyers that look at that
I
and say,
see mechanics' dream come true, because I've had clients before that work in their garage and they did not want it attached to the home because they're in there welding, beating on things, and they didn't want to wake the family up. So I look at this as, you know, one partner can have the garage bay to park in and carry the garages in, and then the piddle or the man cave or the lady shed, whatever you want to call them, try to be very gender respectful here. That area would be an area that you could use for other purposes. So I don't, and I know you're necessarily bad mouthing or anything.
Sure.
I look at it and I almost see it as a selling point. And again, it is unique. There isn't really a way to account for the fact that none of these other comps have an extra garage out back. And where I'm saying on the one hand, someone may love it because they want to be a mechanic in the garage. For someone that wanted a bigger yard, they may hate it. They'd really rather have the one car and they don't want that garage. So it's challenging here to determine true value.
There are also other homes in the area that have only detached garage, so it's not weird to see that garage in the back.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. So
I'm
I'm
sorry.
going to jump in here. I'm going to make sure nothing's in the floodplain. Fencing. So we've got, Lucy, do you have any fencing? You got chain and privacy, right?
It's fenced by the neighbors.
Okay.
Hey, Seamus.
Yes.
I have a quick question about the garages. Does it necessarily matter or not if it's a detached versus attached?
So it's a great question. It kind of depends on the area. I don't typically adjust for it. What I will say is I'll have a conversation about it. I won't ignore that there's one that's detached and one that's attached. But when I sit down with my seller, I may say, depending on what your buyers are looking for, they may find what you have to be more desirable, or, you know, since you don't have this, this may be something that people are looking for. Just having a talking point about it. I like being the psychic in the room, so that when we get the feedback from showings, oh, there it is. They really did want a detached garage. Yep, you were right. So I don't know that I'm going to adjust value, but I am going to have a talking point about it. So, so I'm just scrolling through the pictures on this one real quick because it didn't have anything listed about a fencing, and it looks like there is no fencing. Yeah, it looks like no fencing to me. So, okay. So looking at, let's see here, looking at the other, so full fence. I want to look at this full fence real quick and compare it. I don't know if that means a privacy fence or a chain link fence or a King Kong fence. I don't know what we got here. Unique house. I feel like privacy from what I'm seeing in the windows. Wow, that's neat, I think. Yeah. Well, with a pool, they're going to need it or else they can't get insured. So 6 feet. Okay. So, and ours, Lucy, does not have a 6 foot, right? It's a partial.
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to say their full fence was probably $5,000 and we've got a partial. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to reduce 2,500 from this one with a full fence. I'm going to give 2,500 from these folks. And this one here, I'm going to give 2,500. So, oh, not $25. I'm giving a little bit of value to the fencing, just to help us kind of make the seller feel like they're warm and fuzzy, that everything that they've got is being accounted for. Now we're going to go to finish. And this is a field that I added. This is your biggest area of, you have a lot of wiggle room. And we're not necessarily going to say dollar for dollar, that if it's new flooring, that they're going to get every single dollar of that new flooring. Or that if the kitchen is a gourmet kitchen in a neighborhood that otherwise has average kitchens, that they're going to get every dollar back. No, but we are going to acknowledge that it is superior or inferior on paper so that we have more talking points. This also is where we're going to get into the realm of that additional room. So let's just go look at it real quick. Do you all want to look at Lucy's again real quick to refamiliarize? Let's go ahead and do that. See here, 710 Washburn. All right, so here's Lucy's again. Cute as a button. I tell you what, I wish I had your listings, Lucy. Now, Lucy, did you have a conversation with them about apartments? Can't really do anything about the value of it, but we can agree that there may or may not be clients that may or may not have a perceived value issue or concern with being surrounded by apartments. Was that a conversation you had at all, or did you just ignore it?
We didn't have a conversation about that at all.
Okay.
And it probably came up on 2 feedbacks that I got out of all the showings.
Okay. So it's a thing, and I think you handled it fine. If you had a nice product, I'll mention it and say, hey, this might not keep anybody from buying it. We may get the feedback people want more privacy than what the apartments around you have. So, don't get discouraged if we get that feedback. I like to sort of try to shine some light on some things I may get so that there's less frustration or disappointment when it comes back. So that's me personally. There's nothing wrong with the way you did it because it worked out just fine. You got it sold quick. All right, so going back to our CMA, let's look at our 604 fountain. What do you all think about the finish, the condition? Do you think it's better, inferior, pretty equal to? What are your opinions on 604 fountain as it compares to our property? Anybody? Shelly, what do you think?
I don't see it as being better or worse. I like it just fine.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have a different opinion?
If that's a helpful answer or not, but.
Nope. I
Okay.
tend to agree.
Okay, awesome.
Anybody disagree? All right. So then we're not going to do an adjustment for that right now. So we're going to jump over to 528 fountain. Let's take a look at this one. Do we find this one to be superior, inferior, or pretty equal to? I like the lighting. I like the cabinets. I like the floors.
Was it a new build?
Looks like a new build. I don't know if it's newly remodeled or a new build. I'm thinking it is a new build. I'll have to look at the date real quick.
Well, it doesn't have grass in the front.
Well, that's true. That's a good observation there. So I don't love the idea of using a new build to comp against a 28-year-old house. So upon further review of this one, I am going to go in and I'm going to take it out now. Let's see here. 528. Interesting. Are they all new build? Aha. Okay. So now we got a bunch of new builds. So now we're going to have another problem. Lucy, I want to curse you right now for doing this to me.
I didn't do anything. I didn't take those into consideration. They didn't come up in my CMA.
Okay. All right. So I'm taking these out then. All right. Well, then this is what's going to have to happen, ladies and gentlemen. And this happens. I'm going to have to go find more comps in the middle of my CMA. All right. So we're going to ditch 528 and 526. What was 604? We like 604 just fine. How in the hell did they end up having new construction in the middle of this neighborhood? 526 to 528 going away. All right. Bye. Bye. All right. Now I'm going to add comps again. I'm going to go 0.45. I'm going to go to my map. I'm going to get on the other side of this expressway again. And drag it out. I'm going to go status change, take it away. Pending, sold, expired. I'm going to go above grade. We're going to do 1,500 to 2,200. Property subtype. So now that I'm looking like there's less comps, I may have to ditch my first floor master bedroom. Don't want to do it, and I'm going to make a comment about doing it with my clients so they're aware that I don't love the comp that I use, but that may end up being what we have to do here. I'm going to go to basement. Basement none. All right, let's go through and look at our, what do we got here now? For now, I'm going to include this, although I don't love it. Here, look at the photos on this one. Man, this is so different from the house we're comping. I don't really want to use it. I think Finley. Already got Fountain in there. All right, I'm gonna add these three in, I think. I don't like Kentucky, that's awful. Let me look at that again. I don't think I like that one. No garage. You know what, for now I'm gonna leave it. And that's the beauty of this. Leave it, add it, make your adjustments, come back later. So what are my adjustments? We just added what, the bottom three. So real quickly, I need to go in. We got 1639 to 1850, so it's 234. We got 6,000. And then 1667. Yeah, the 196. 10,000. We're gonna go to our bedrooms. Am I losing anybody yet? Or are you guys okay with me rolling at the speed I'm going right now?
You're good.
All right, 2,500. All right. But wait, we gotta take that away. Garage, one car garage. If we've given a value of essentially 25, I would say that 10,000 would be the value I would give for the first car. 10,000 there. So probably gonna do 15,000 value increase on that one. And this here is what we're gonna say for that one. Now let's go look at our finish and our condition on these last three. What do we think as far as comparing to ours? Not a fan of that yellow.
Doesn't look as updated to me.
Not at all.
I would say a little bit less.
It's not horrible, but I think ours is a little better. So for me, I would be going in and I'd be saying our value, and which one was that one? That was Abbey Wood. I'm probably throwing in about 10. That's what I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking we're about 10,000 nicer. And then Finley, let's take a look at that one. And that was arbitrary, guys. That was some carpet, some paint, some flooring, just maybe some fixtures. It's a number that you can sort of, you can adjust. You can make adjustments to what you think. But it is a real world value to say, hey, I think ours is nicer than that one. So I gave us a $10,000 increased value just because I think ours is nicer. Before I say anything about this one, not crazy about the photos in this one. That's for sure. A little hazy, a little foggy. You got a dog in the picture. I like that it's vaulted. There's only a handful of photos. Whew. What do you guys think about compared to ours?
Maybe like a 5,000 adjustment.
I think that's probably something fair. We can roll with that. And then let's go to Kentucky. clean, fresh paint, fresh carpet, new cabinets, new kitchen. It looks like a laminate countertop instead of a granite, so nothing super fancy there. I would say ours is superior. I would say that ours is superior. Look at that. What was going on with the siding?
Yeah, were the tubs the what are those, prefab? Or
Yeah, they were inserts.
inserts.
Yeah,
Maybe I may-
I'm probably gonna do 10 grand on this one. I think we're about 10 grand better on this one. All right, then let's go to fencing. We didn't get that in there on the last one. That partial. All right, so I'll give it a bump. There was no fencing on. Was there fencing on Finley? Yeah, they got. Well, it's other people's fencing. I can't really tell from these photos, so I'm gonna have to leave that one. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to leave that one unadjusted.
Seamus, on my listing, it's other people's fencing too.
What was it?
On Washburn listing, it's other people's fencing.
Yeah, but you have it connected, don't you?
Okay, it's the 7 feet aluminum black fence right next door. I think on both sides, but it's the neighbors.
Does it connect in the back though? Do you have something in the back, or is it just open in the back?
No, in the back, it's the brick wall that faces to the apartments.
Okay, so then
So
your
close.
yard is at least contained, right?
Yes, it's contained, correct.
And that's where I'm not sure on this wash, or not Washington. That's where I'm not sure on this one. I can't tell on this one if it's contained, because it looks like,
Got it.
you know, we could use Google Earth. We could do a drive-by. You could call the other agent and find out. There's things you could do to get that information, but for now, I'm gonna roll with what I got. So we haven't done anything for this building on the back. I am going to say, and I'm sure that building costs more than 10 grand. Depending on the quality, like there's a lot of finished wood in there. I'm probably going to do somewhere between 5 and 10 grand for an adjustment like that for a Four Seasons room. It's something. It may not be exact. It may be imperfect. I'm going to apply 10 grand adjustment to every person's, assuming they would have got 10 grand more for that room. Then I'm going to recalculate, and I'm going to see where these numbers shake out to be. I suspect that Lucy probably sold for the top dollar. She's not going to leave one penny on the table. Have you all had your appraisal yet?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go All Seasons Room Edition.
Now I have a question. The Four Seasons room has been included in the square footage of the house by the appraiser.
Oh, it was?
Yes.
Okay. So it has heating and air and everything in there?
What was that?
So it has heating and air and everything in there?
It has heating and air, and so it has been adjusted when you adjusted square footage, I guess.
Okay. Then for me, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to give that much credit. I'm still going to say it has a nice feature because it's got all the finish in there, and it is definitely a focal point feature of the home. So I'm not going to give the 10 grand. I am now going to give 5 grand if it was included in the square footage. Had it not been included in the square footage, I'd be throwing 10 grand in. And this process is as much art as it is science. And that's the part that is maddening to people. This is my personal opinion. I want to be able to explain to them. I want to have the conversation of, I love the home. I love the feature. We included in the square footage. And because it's a nice focal point, I gave an additional value. We're still going to have a range to talk about. We're still going to have a range to work with. I'm going to acknowledge it as being something that's a focal point by doing this $5,000 bump.
Yes, especially with the windows and all that.
Sure. And that might be something that on the cover page or in the comments on each listing that you might make a comment about, that square footage was included, that the All Seasons room was included in the square footage by appraiser. You know, so adjustment was made for focal point finish only. Again, I don't care what you guys say, as long as you're able to have an intelligent conversation with your sellers or your buyers about how you get to where you get. All right, moment of truth. Now, Lucy, I'd be really curious what comps you used that I didn't use, or if there are any. I'm sure there are. We're going to skip back to the recommendation. Right here is where you see all the work you did, all the math you did, all the things you did to get ready. This is where it calculates it out. So on the high end, my numbers here say 278. The low end was 237, and the recommended was 252. You listed at 260. To be at 278.4, I think would be a stretch. Me personally, I might have gone in at 265, maybe 270 tops. I would not have gotten to the high end, but I would have had a conversation. That said, you recommended was still lower if you use the average mathematical in there of what's there. If you rolled up to 260 and that was your pricing, and you put a little ahead of what was recommended, no harm in that. And you had it on the market, I don't think you priced it wrong because you had it on the market for 4 days. So if you had priced it wrong in those 4 days, you would have had a bidding more and it would have pushed you up to 270. So I think you did a great job, and I think you probably did a great job by your sellers, and I'm sure they're very happy. I mean, is that a fair statement?
Yay, thank you. They're very happy.
Yeah.
And I think I got your exact recommendation, 237, 250, and 270 something. I think, yeah, we matched there.
Perfect. So, and everybody's got a different strategy. If I'd have pushed it higher, I might have been on the weekend extra, or I might have been on the market an extra week. I may have set expectations that weren't realistic, and they may have passed by that 260 offer. So it's difficult to say what would have happened or what could have happened. What is good is that you had reason and logic. You had something to show your sellers. You got the deal done, and you got the deal done with another agent in the building. So, hey, that's a win for everybody as well. So, any questions? Oh, real quick, let me show you what I do real quick. The version that I always use when I go to prepare it is I go to this, go to next step. I go to Lou IDX full report. I do that because that's the version that's going to have all the photos of every listing, so that when you're sitting down with them, and I'll show you what that looks like, instead of having to go to your computer and look and find, when I sit down with them, first of all, I'm going to say, this here is your home, and these are the homes that I used to determine value. These are the same homes that I anticipate an appraiser using to determine value when we verify this. Do you agree these homes are pretty close to yours and are pretty similar in style if they're located that close? Yes, they are. Okay, great. Here we go. We didn't do anything more than a half mile. We actually, 0.38 was the furthest that we went. Here are the homes that we've got, that we've selected. It'll show you what they listed for, what they sold for, their days on market. I'm not shocked this kind of interesting, odd looking one was 76 days on market. It was a unique property. Interestingly, they originally listed at 275, so they were swinging for the fences. I'm guessing they were probably off about their price. If I had to guess, the agent didn't either know a price or was scared to buck up against the seller who priced it themselves, and then they waited for 2 extra payments to get it sold. We've got here 0 days on market. The lowest one, you see a trend. The lowest one on this page, 0 days on market, boom. I got to tell you what, my gut tells me Abbeywood might have been priced a little on the low side. They might not have been priced accurately. Scrolling down to the next level, we've got 2 days on market once they reduced, but 35 cumulative days. Originally listed at 235, reduced down to 227. That's an odd number. Myself, I like to move in 5s or 10s. So I'm fine with 235. I probably would have done the reduction down to 230, because anyone that was capped at 230 on their sales price for their mortgage would have still found it at 227, but whatever. It sold for 220. Still lower days on market. This one here, 3 days on market with 199 and 204. So the story of the day would be people trying to go at and above 250, 260 are the folks that originally listed 269 were on the market more than 30 days, on the market 76 days. So Mr. Seller or Mrs. Seller, what's the most important for you? I want to sell your home for the most money in the least time. If you had to pick one of those two, what is most important to you? And then you start to find people's motivation. It's not always price for some people. Some people want to just sell fast. They've got, someone's passed away, or they've got to, pay tuition for their kid, and they needed to move it fast. And if you try to come in and sell for top dollar, they may get upset because they just need to get it out of their name. Here's some other really important stuff. Coming down here, overall market unadjusted. Average days on market, 25, and 32. 32 meaning if there was any sort of price adjustment when they first hit the market, 25 being once they made any price adjustments consecutive, or if the listing expired, came back on, whatever kind of gap there was in that first initial data. So to me, Lucy, you should be telling your parents, your clients that, hey, I sold this thing in 4 days and the average out here was 32 days. I do things 4 weeks faster than my competition. Who else do you know that would like that kind of service and that sort of outcome? Because you knocked it out of the park. Likewise, if you got it sold in the first 4 days, you could say, now guys, calm down. Everybody take a deep breath. We talked about the data. We looked at what happens out here. On average, homes do not go under contract here until you're about 30 to 32 days in. So yes, we want to take advantage of the hot market. Yes, we're excited. Yes, we want to make sure we don't leave the price if we're not getting activity. And we need to be patient with ourselves and realistic about what should happen. I had a seller, I'll tell you guys, 3 weeks ago, I left my house in near tears because the seller was berating me. And to the point where I probably should have fired the seller. It was exhausting. And I'm telling them, guys, I teach people in my office how to value homes. Like, you have hired someone who knows what they're doing, and they wanted results and they wanted them yesterday. And their market sold on average 84 days, and they were $50,000 more than the average home in their market. And they were $30,000 more than what I had been telling them from day one that we needed to price at. And he got loud with me, and he said, I want you to come get your sign. I said, I will not come and get my sign until you and I can sit down person to person and go over this together respectfully. And we're going to review the data that I've been talking about from day one, and I'm going to hear all of your concerns and frustrations. We both deserve that. When can we do that? He calmed down. 30 minutes later, called me back, said, price it wherever you want. We priced it correctly. Guys, I got it under contract last week. So, and it's a $500,000 house. The commission's gonna be 15 grand. To me, I ate shit. Pardon my language. I know we're recording. We eat shit for a living sometimes. And I had to do it last week. And this week I earned 15 grand because I did it last week. And the only reason he didn't walk away from me is because I had the data to back up what I was saying. So this stuff is so important for the first conversation you have.